What are the actual top things that you should be focused on when you are starting cello? The checklist could get quite long, quite big in a hurry. So what I want to bring you today is the actual top 5 things that you need before you sit down to play your first note. Before you sit down to start on whatever method or video series, or before you get to class, that you have these things set in place before you start playing. If you don't, you are going to be on the road to frustration and stagnation. Okay, so this is the best case scenario, is for me to give you this list for you to get these things in place so that you can front load your progress, okay, and be on your way to learning and making regular forward motion there in your cello playing. All right, so the first thing is, the first thing on your checklist is get the right size cello. You absolutely must do this. I have the video here on the channel. If you want to deep dive into cello size, I'll put it up here in the cards. It is so important, that you get the right size. You know, I always love the analogy of shoes, right? If you're playing sports, you wouldn't buy shoes that are too big or too small, right? You'd injure yourself. Yeah, I mean, you just like, it's just not even a thought, on your mind to get the wrong size shoes. Same with the cello, right? You just won't make as much progress, and you might even injure yourself, stretching and moving and wherever. Get the right size. Okay, next on our list is to make sure that your posture and position is going to be consistent. Make sure you understand, how you're supposed to sit at the cello. And actually, it's the same video, the cello sizing, except YouTube won't let me put the same video in 2 different cards, but it's the same video. That video could just as easily be titled Cello Posture and Position, right? As I say in the video, if you've already watched it, you can't understand one without the other. One thing that I will add in this video is how important the chair, is, and that you have, whatever you're going to secure your end pin with, that it helps you with consistency. Every beginner who comes to the studio now that starts cello with me, we use this IKEA stool that I'm sitting on now. Usually I'm sitting on my Jensen artist bench because it's nice and padded, but make sure you have a chair that you always have access to, that you'll always be able to practice on, so that you can consistently set up the cello. So what we do here in the studio is we do the strap. It goes under the front left leg here. All right. We mark the strap, get it set, put a permanent marker spot on the end pin so that everything, so each time student is setting up, they're able to get that end pin back to that exact length that we set up. So if you're doing this on your own or with a classroom teacher, hopefully you can get that end pin set, at least when you find the spot that feels really, really comfortable to you, all right, you can set it up, set the end pin, and so this, this doesn't move, it stays consistent, it goes under the chair leg. Again, mark the end pin length with a permanent marker, and it's going to change, as you go through this, it's going to ebb and flow a little bit. And I love these IKEA stools because it really gives us a target to sit on. And you will notice that it's actually the same height as this Winger music chair. Now, if you want to go the extra mile here, you can get one of these. Obviously, they cost a little bit more, but this is what most school orchestras are using. They're made by Winger. I'll put a link in the description there. But these can run at least $100. I think sometimes they run even $125, $150 if you're buying them as an individual, just buying a one-off chair. The IKEA stool at the present moment costs $8. All right, so definitely the economical choice. And as you can see, they are the same height. So make sure you have your chair, strap, end pin marked, set up so that you can consistently come back to the same position on the cello. And don't forget about the option to add a cushion. As you can see, my artist bench is a bit taller than both the IKEA stool and the Winger chair. It's around 18.5 inches. I have it adjusted all the way up. You can actually buy an 18.5-inch chair on Winger, or you can add one of these Travelmate cushions. I still recommend these Travelmate cushions. They're the best brand. They really hold up. They're really durable. They're awesome. I actually just used one this weekend while I was playing at a workshop. They can really, raise you up, okay, if your chair is a little bit low. Just make sure you're in a nice flat chair and that you use some kind of cushion, some kind of support to get you up as far as you need to, according to your height. Next thing on the list is, of course, the bow, right? Make sure you understand the bow hold. And when I say understand, like beyond a shadow of a doubt where your fingers are supposed to go, okay? You're working on it, you're a student, okay? But you've got some good videos, some good tutorials, some good guidance there about where to put your hand, and that you also have the bow itself marked. You'll see me use this a lot in the videos, and I'm going to be using it a lot more in the future to make sure we're developing the tone, right? That we're learning to play down here, all right? And waiting before we play out here in the bow, okay? Taping up the bow is just as important as taping up the fingerboard. And by the way, if you do need some help taping up the fingerboard, I do have a video for that here on the channel, okay? But make sure your bow is taped. Make sure you're watching lots of bow hold videos, right? Don't just watch mine, watch lots of them, okay? There's a lot of great cello creators here on YouTube. This is something that is so nuanced, and it seems simple, right? There's only these few places that our fingers go, but you make sure that you know where your hand is supposed to go. Number 4 on the list is pretty simple. Start at the beginning. I don't care how much musical training you have. If you've played piano or sung or conducted or whatever, that's great. Yes, it's going to help you, but don't skip anything, right? Playing a stringed instrument, especially playing a bowed string instrument, there are so many variables. There's so many things to consider here when you're starting. Start at the beginning of whatever track you're on, whatever you've decided to do. Don't skip any steps. I promise you will not regret going through everything nice and slow, okay? Making sure you've got everything down. And last on the list here is make sure that you have all of the fundamental tools right there at your fingertips for practicing. All right, what are the basic practice tools that you need to have on a regular basis whenever you're playing, and you need to have them right from the beginning? That is a mirror, a metronome, okay, some way to record yourself, like with your phone, through video, or an audio recording device. You also need recordings, examples. Do you already know where you're going to go and be listening to the things that you are trying to learn? Yes? Okay. You must have these things in place. Mirror, metronome, some kind of recording device, okay, and some kind of recordings to listen to reference while you are learning as a student. Okay, so there it is. That's the checklist. If you have these things in place before you start playing, before you start learning, if they're there in the practice room with you from the very beginning, you're going to be successful. I promise. Okay. As always, put questions down for me here in the comments. Love to answer those. And if you want to hear some more beginner stuff here on the channel, various videos here around me to help you with that. See you in the next one.